Hello, how are you guys doing? I hope you're all doing really well. We have beautiful spring, and hopefully the whole thing with the pandemic is going to work itself out, and soon we'll be able to communicate and hang out together just like we love to do. Um, as you may know, I am the author of this book, Transcendence Calling, The Power of Kundalini Rising and Spiritual Enlightenment. I describe in my book my experience that was spontaneous at the time when I did not know anything about Kundalini. The word Kundalini was unknown to me. I didn't believe in chakras, although I have heard about them. So during my experience, I was able to tell how my consciousness was actually moving from one dimension to another. I was able to tell apart different dimensions of consciousness. Eventually, I was able to compare the quality of the chakras as we know about them, and the nature of the dimensions that I was able to visit during my Kundalini rising. This is a picture of the subtle body. This is the Kundalini energy, and these are the chakras, which I understand as gates to dimensions. We are not beings that just possess body, emotions, and mind, or just body and mind, and then there is a maybe for some of us spiritual thing or maybe religious. We are multidimensional beings. Our consciousness is multidimensional. What's really important to know is that there is a reason that this structure is called a subtle body. It is because it's our ability to see it, understand it, feel it, and to be able to tune into the actual mechanics of the subtle body, that's Kundalini energy, and the chakras, and the Shushumna, which is the way of travel of Kundalini. We need to be able to understand that this is a subtle experience. So it's not something that it's very clear and obvious to everyone. It is something that we are able to tune into either by having very strong predispositions or through practices. The phenomenon of Kundalini rising and its final result, if it's a full Kundalini rising, final result of spiritual enlightenment has been known for thousands of years. Some religions, especially Western religions, have been trying to ridicule it or to make it as a religious experience that somehow belongs to the religious dogma of that particular religion. But the truth is that just like in my case, I had no idea and I've never had a spiritual teacher. I have never done anything that would supposed to make me believe in chakras or believe in Kundalini or believe in spiritual enlightenment or anything like that. No, I was not a believer. And the truth is, I'm still not a believer. In my view, beliefs belong to the emotional realm, emotional dimension, where we believe in things that we are comfortable with and believe that our mind, which is the third dimension, and our emotions are aligned in it, align themselves together so we can believe in something. We need to understand that the phenomenon of Kundalini rising and spiritual enlightenment is something that human beings really need. It's about time to understand it thoroughly, not just from the viewpoint of separate awakenings that we know about. And those awakenings are usually sudden openings of upper chakras caused by various factors. But that's not enough. We need to understand the process of Kundalini rising and what it brings to our lives, our consciousness, how it expands our consciousness, and what it makes us understand. Today, I would like to talk a little bit about the fifth dimension, because in previous videos, I talked about the second one, the emotions. I talked about the third one, the mind, and I talked about love, the fourth dimension. And so, as we are today, many people are tapping into the dimension of love, which is wonderful. When the fourth chakra opens, we are able to feel love. We are able to address our life, all that's around, with love, and we understand what kind of good feeling that is and how important it is. This dimension is already sacred. This is something that we can feel completely when we perceive the sacredness of it. This is something what spiritual teachers were and are teaching us about, that love, that sacred love. The lower dimensions, physical, emotional, and mental, don't have that quality of sacredness. So the way things happen here, they don't always happen with love. And this is one of the biggest problems that humanity has right now, that we don't fully understand. And science is unfortunately not yet very helpful with it. We don't fully understand what's actually happening in our reality. What are our emotions? What is our mind telling us? And as I mentioned in the previous two videos about emotions and about mind, we are not our emotions and we are not our mind. But for most of us, this is how we perceive our reality. We believe in what we see, and we believe in what we think. And if we don't think that we have a strong mind, we believe in what someone else thinks. I did give some suggestions about exercises, how to control emotions, especially in difficult situations when we can't control ourselves, when something is happening and we react. And we cause even more harm that way, either to ourselves or to someone else or to the whole situation. We bring the situation down by reacting. The same with the mind. If the mind is going to, if we're going to let the mind think whatever it wants to think, we're going to be at the mercy of this thinking. And that is, that thinking is just whatever our conditioning is, whatever we were conditioned to think, whatever experiences, emotional and mental experiences, whatever they made us think. So these three dimensions, the material, emotional, and mental, is something that we are most familiar with in our daily life. And heart is something that some of us are able to tap into and draw from it and give love and feel love, but not everyone. Some need religion to believe in that, and those religions, like, for example, Christianity, based on teachings of Jesus, can be helpful, because Jesus was teaching love. What basically he was teaching, how to cultivate the fourth chakra, how to open it and keep it open. So here is our situation. We are, most of us, I mean, right now in the world, most of us are under the dominance of the first three dimensions. And we don't know it. We don't think about it. We don't know it because it's not yet known. It's not yet known. There is some information that we're getting from the old Indian philosophy and mysticism about chakras, and about the fact that at some point the Kundalini energy that's asleep at the bottom of the spine can wake up, and if it's lucky, if we're lucky, if we either through practices or through incredible predispositions, we're able to have that energy go through all the way, then we can completely understand what life is about, and we're at peace with what's going on. Peace, bliss, love, happiness, and benevolence towards all there is. A person who is able to have all of their chakras open up and has the energy going through and start circulating that way, that person is a conscious multidimensional being that is able to function not only on the material, emotional, and mental level, but also on all these different levels. As I said, today I would like to mention a little bit about the fifth dimension. The fifth dimension is all about connection and communication. Even though, as we know it, the very interesting, fascinating phenomena like psychic powers, channeling, connecting with other beings, getting guidance, help from archetypes like Mother Mary or Archangel Michael, or different beings that are known from deities, known from Eastern mysticism and religions. That's all the fifth chakra. But on a daily basis, we have actually a lot to do with this chakra. It is the dimension is vibrating on certain frequency of sound, it brings about certain color, which is any kind of blue color. So for some, it could be bright light blue. For others, it will be darker blue. Could be greenish blue. Could be warmer blue. That they're all different hues of blue color. So in daily life, only some of us are able to see sometimes that color and hear messages, hear what we otherwise wouldn't have heard, because it's not as if it's not in this reality. So these are examples of really evolved psychic powers, together with Akashic records, which are the records of all there is, of all that ever happened, is happening, and will ever happen. All that is recorded, and it's recorded in what's called Akashic records. Imagine all that's happening to you is recorded, and there is a way to access it. Of course, not all of us can access it, but some can, and it's wonderful. But what I'm trying to point out today is that the fifth chakra, the throat chakra, is something that's responsible for exchange of energy, for connection and communication. So it's very important in relationships. And here is an example of how we are reacting and relating today in this world. We are that being that's dominated by the first three dimensions, reacting emotionally. And if we don't know how, we don't know how to, we can't control our emotions. So we believe in them. We believe in them together with the mind that creates the whole story. We have time. Time is a sub-dimension of the third dimension. Time is something that's also actually made up and belongs to the mind. So mostly today we relate to others through emotions and what our mind tells us. And this is why there are so many misunderstandings, so many problems, so many things that seem to be completely opposite, contradictory, so many disagreements. And it's not that we want to cut out disagreements from the world. Everything needs to be there, but it's our consciousness that's responsible for how we deal with those disagreements, how we deal with what other people think, how we deal with what they feel. And so, as you may recall, in the last video, I mentioned that this dimension, the heart, is something that's not only love, but also all of the concepts that are in that world, in that dimension. They're concepts like truth, like equanimity, like trust, like benevolence, like justice, like honor, like support, help, and many other words that could come to mind if you start thinking about doing things with love in heart, consciously relating, not just sitting here and thinking about what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling, and things are like this or like that, and that person is wrong. But through those exercises that I suggested in previous videos, we can open up these chakras and allow our consciousness, our magical power, our true being, true self, not the ego, but the true self, allow it to give its energy, lift it up and take us up to the heart realm, where we naturally behave with faith, with hope, with certain consideration towards others. When others come first, there is a very deep reason for that. So here we are. We either act without love and focus on what the mind thinks and what the logic dictates and what emotions tell us, or we go higher and we incorporate what love and all those concepts that are connected with love, what they bring. And so that state is already giving us great comfort, because love is everywhere and we are all loved. Each of us is loved. It's impossible to figure this out from here. Mind cannot figure this out. Mind needs to prove, needs to doubt, and needs to have all kinds of conditions in order to believe something, especially something like love. So if we move our consciousness to this realm, we'll be able to see down also. And that is because there is a hierarchy of dimensions. And from the first one, you can't see up. You can't see up from any of them. But you can always see down. So you can see from the emotional one, you can see the material, and you know that you are reacting to something, like reacting to a pain in your knee, and you don't feel good because you have pain in your knee and it's hurting, and you also feel a little bit upset about it, right? So that's an example of a very simple example of a second dimension, a second chakra reacting to the first one. And the same with the mind. The mind is going to react to the emotions and react to the material world. Now, from the heart, we can feel compassion for all of that, for all of those struggles and problems that humanity experiences without having the consciousness rise to the heart. You don't lose your life and your things and your relationships and everything that you have if you move your consciousness to your heart. You can perfectly have everything. So now let's talk about what happens when we move it up here, when the fifth chakra opens. All the chakras above the fourth one are also carrying the quality of sacredness. So if we are having our relationships going, if we relate to others from these, with mind, emotions, and physical reality, it does not include the heart and what all of these concepts around the sacred love are and how they work. But if we include the heart, then naturally our relationships, the way of treating others, the way of understanding, accepting, and receiving information from others changes. What changes is that we now know that love is there, and we treat others with love naturally, no matter who they are, whether we know them or we don't know them. It doesn't mean that we have to run up to them and hug them. It's not about physical manifestation. It's about the love in the heart. So in our relationships, regardless to with whom these relationships are happening, we need to cultivate the fourth chakra, cultivate love. That's simply a prerequisite for good relationships. Of course, talking about it quickly within 25 minutes is not going to solve the problems, but it's just going to give you an idea that there is a way to deal with the world that is going to make everything better, that's going to help incredibly all of us and the world. And that way is of understanding the process of Kundalini rising, understanding what spiritual enlightenment is, and practicing on each of the chakras separately, so we don't get very confused. Like, we confuse these two, emotional and mental, and create a story. There is no need for it. All of that reality is an illusion anyway. But we can talk about that when our consciousness goes up to the fifth chakra. For now, everything that you can do in order to bring closer the realm of the fifth dimension is to keep in mind communication with others with love. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to tell them that you love them. No, have it in your heart. And understand that they may not be reacting from love. They may not be talking from love. They may be reacting from emotions and their mind. And whatever their mind is telling them, they feel they have to be right. And whatever their emotions are telling them, you can't change them because they don't want to change them. But you can have compassion. And you can have understanding. And that is a process that happens. That is a little bit of work. Work on controlling your own emotions, understanding that your mind is not the whole world, but just a function of that little being that's here. That's the mind. It's not the last word. We are so much bigger than the ego. Also, cultivating the fifth chakra is done through listening. Listening to silence, listening to music, practicing music, playing instruments, singing, and performing and dance. All that is this incredible magical realm of the fifth dimension. If you would like to know more, if you are interested in the whole program, please contact me. You can always check my website, www.moniquerebel.com. You can contact me through social media. During the time of that we have now of coronavirus, I'm offering very, very good, affordable packages of program called Our Multidimensional Consciousness that has 8 modules. And it's something that we can do easily online. I do it on Zoom. Contact me and let me know if there is one problem, or there is a bunch of problems, or there is a big change that you would like to make in your life and you need support. But mostly you need to feel stronger as a being. Feel not under the pressure of your emotions and under the power of your mind that you can't control. There is a lot more to talk about, and I'll make time to create new videos. For now, thank you so much. I hope it was helpful, and I hope to hear from you. Let me know. Contact me any way you would like. Ask questions, make comments. I'll be very happy to hear from you. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.